Hi guys, welcome to class 5 of JMeter. So in this class we are going to learn some complex concepts of handling dynamic values, and we will see the login scenario as well. The idea is that since we have completed all the basic concepts of JMeter till class 4, including thread group, listener, how to record test scenario and execute it in JMeter with various ways, and we looked into configuration of listener, sampler, HTTP test recorder and all. So once we are done with that, now we are going to perform our scenario, which includes login as well as the dynamic values. And I'm sure in the latest technology based applications we have these kind of dynamic values which need to be there in each request in order for our test to pass. So we will look into it. So this is our scenario. So what we can do is we can first record our scenario. So let's say we have given the name. We started the recording and we go to the login page first. Within that login page, I have provided username and password. Click login. It logged me in successfully. Then I go to my account. Then I go to my detail page. And yeah, that's it. So, for example, if I log out again and I close the test. Now if I go there and if I save the test as JMeter test, let it export to JMX file, it is done. And that's my JMeter test. So what I would do is I will go to JMeter, open up, open, and then I will provide this value. So I go to download, and then within download I have this file. This is my test actually. So if I open it, I can see here I have all my requests which are generated. Now the second step is to filter out these requests, and we need to know all the requests we have captured through BlazeMeter, are they actually required. So first I will save my test plan. I will save my test plan in my test folder. Yeah, 14 March. If I go to 14 March, I can save it. Can save it as test plan 1. Save. Yes. Now it says test plan 1. So now my test is saved in my required folder. If I go here, yeah, this is required. This is my login page, and now you can see there are two requests for user login page. Right now the second one is containing my user credentials. As you can see, this is my email address, this is my password, and some dynamic values. So we will come to those values. First we need to filter out the request. So this is my first request, my login page. Now once I log in with all the right details, now this is useless widget bundle. We don't need that. We can delete that request. widget bundle again. If we remove it, it doesn't matter. So we go to manage a stay. So once we log in, we are landed to manage a stay page, and then user goes to my detail. So now again from my detail there are two pages, my detail 1 and my detail 2. In my detail 1 is the page where we landed first, and of course we have a lot of values within that page. As you can see, all of my detail is coming here, my name, surname. So these are all the values that were residing on that page. And then we have a useless request here again, so we can delete it. Yes, we can delete it. Yes, now we need to test, we need to test, do the performance test on these requests. So these are our requests which are important to us in our scenario. So now moving forward, we will handle the dynamic values. And as you know, the login scenario is already covered. We don't need to, if we are recording from BlazeMeter, we don't need to do anything. It is automatically taking our username and password and logging in with that user. So now the only thing left is handling of dynamic values. So what are those dynamic values? How we can identify which values are dynamic? So if we go to user login in the second request, we can see view state is dynamic, right? View state is dynamic. Previous page. Then we have event validation. This is dynamic, right? And this is our login button, right? It is saying that this is the login button, the ID of the login button. That's the event target, because as soon as user click the login button, it logged in the user. So we have our dynamic values. View state is the main one. So so that's we need to change, right? So now what we can do is we need to use regular expressions in JMeter. So in order to handle dynamic values, so for example here in the second, now before going forward, just let's add listener view result tree, which is mostly used, and we will see how it goes. So I'm not doing anything, I'm just keeping the values as one. I'm just recreating the scenario and playing the scenario again. And first we will see, because first we need to re-execute our scenario and see whether it is getting pass or getting fail, and if it is failing, then what is the cause of that. So let's see how it behaves. So as you can see, my first request has been passed, but my second request fails. So now it, why it is failing? Because of some of the response code 500. But what we need to do is we first need to look into the response data. We go to the response. We see there is some internal server error. We go to the response body and we see this. Okay, so if you see this, it is saying validation of view state MAC failed. It means some kind of validation of view state is failing. So now what we can do is in second request, we can see that as a parameter, there is view state going, because my second request is failing, right? So I will go to the second request and I will see now this is the view state which is causing issue. There is some event validation and there is view state generator. So these could possibly the cause of my error. So now in I need to fix that error, because in order to apply load, in order to perform load testing or performance testing and apply more than one user to our test scenario, we first need to get this test case pass. Somehow we need to get it passed. Once it will be passed successfully, then we can apply load test, right? So the second request is failing. We go to the second request. We are seeing some dynamic value are being passed, but the request is failing. So it means it could be view state generator, it could be view state, it could be event validation, even the previous page as well. So one by one, we will look into it. First, we will deal with let's say view state. So now we know the problem. We need to fix the dynamic value problem in JMeter. In order to fix our issue of dynamic value, we need post processor. So we go to the first request. We are not going to the second request, right? Remember, second request is failing, but in first request, there are some dynamic values which are coming in the response body. So if I go to the first request, I go to the response body, and if I search view state, and I found this, right? So you can see this is the view state value coming in the response, because dynamic value is being generated in the first request, and in the second request if we are passing a different dynamic value, that's why the request is failing. So we need to process our first request somehow, the response of the first request, and we need to pick those dynamic values and pass it to the second request as a parameter in order to fix this issue. This is very important concept. Once you understand this concept, it is very easy now. So my second request is failing because in my first request there are some dynamic value being generated in the response, and I'm not passing those in the second request as a parameter, whereas I'm passing some different values. That's why it is failing. So what I need to do, I need to process the response of first request. I will add post processor, and there is regular expression extractor. This regular expression extractor actually will fix that issue, and it will extract the dynamic value of a field for us, which we will pass in the second request. So what we need to do, we will keep it main sample body, main sample only, and here we can say, is it should it pick from header, request header, response header, body. So we are taking it as a body because view state comes in the body of first request. So name of the created variable, let's say I'm calling it 1. Now that's the important part. Regular expression, how we will write a regular expression. So what we need to do, we need to go to the first response of the first request. We can we can copy this. We can just copy. You can control C this, and you can go to notepad. If I go to notepad and I just paste it, and I don't need this value, whatever in the inverted commas, I don't need it. I will delete it. Now it becomes my regular expression. I don't need div. Now I will pick this. I will copy this, and I will go to the extractor. I will paste my regular expression, but here what I will do is, here I will here I will put round brackets, and within those round bracket I just need to write dot plus question mark. That's it. That is my regular expression. So now if I copy this regular expression, I can test this regular expression in, there is one website. So there is one website, regex. If you go to that website, this website is to practice regular expressions, to learn regular expressions. You can go to this website and learn by yourself. What I can do is I can write my regular expression here. This is my regular expression and this is the text. So what I am getting in the text. So if I, for example, this is my regular expression, and sorry, this is my body and this is my dynamic value I'm getting of, and this is my view state. So what I'm getting, I'm putting my text here. Now as you can see, it is highlighting in blue. So for example, in order to make an error, now this is my expression and this is the text, right? Now this text, it is doing nothing. On hovering, it is doing nothing, right? But if I write my regular expression correctly, now what it is picking, as you can see, match, it found a match and there's one match found, right? One match is found, and within that match you can see in the group number one. Group number one is basically the of value that is extracted by the regular expression, and this value is my view state value. So for example, I have here, this is Farah's test. So now my regular expression will pick a view state value, which is, this is Farah's test. So whatever comes within that inverted commas, it will pick that, my regular expression will pick that as a value. So for example, if anything is changed, any pattern is changed here, it will now, it will not pick, right? Because regular expression is not matching with this text. So if I correct it, now it is matching and it is picking the value which is written in group number one. This is for our test. So it means it is picking value correctly. So regular expression is correct. Uh, and in the template, you just need to write $1. $1 means that it is picking the first group. So it will create, it will create a regular expression which will pick the first value as my view state value. And let's copy this value here in the name as well, so we know that this regular expression extractor is for view state. In match number 0 for random, we will write 1 so that it will pick the first value, and for default value we just write not found. So if nothing is found, it will show not found, and that's it. That's it. We can save it. Now we can copy this as well. So if I go and copy this, select this and paste it, now I need to do the same thing for event validation, right? So you can do the same thing with event validation. Let's say I have already created the regular expression for you guys to save time, so you can do that regular expression for event validation and do the same, but I will change the variable name, right? Because variable 1 is for view state. Now variable 2 is for event validation, and I will save it. I will copy it again. I will paste it here. And now the third one is for third one we can use for, we can name it 3, and third one we can use for view state generator. That's it. We can save it, and we can, we can copy this. We can go to result tree, and in the body of first request we can search all these, right? You can see the value I'm getting is D4EF8AES, right? So that's the value I'm getting in the body of first request. So if I have event validation, for example, control C, if I go to result tree and I search event validation, I can see the value of the event validation. You can see this value, right? So it will, what these three will do, these three will pick the values of these three dynamic values for me and save it in the variable name 1, 2, and 3. Now in view state 1, now I will go to the second request which is failing, and in view state, what I will do, I will just empty it. I will just empty it, and in curly brackets I will write the variable name 1, and before that I will write the dollar sign to pick the value of this variable, right? So my post processor will pick the value from the first request and pass the same value in the second request as a parameter, and and in now let's do the same. Let's do the same for this second one. Second one is event validation, right? So in event validation, we will empty this again, and we will write dollar curly bracket, and within those curly bracket I will write 2. And the third one is view state generator. So for view state generator I will write dollar curly bracket and 3. 1, 2, 3. I have replaced the values of these three dynamic values with the variables, and these variables are getting the values from the post processor of first request. That's the key here. So now after saving it, I will go to result tree, I will clear my results, and I will run my test again, and then I will see whether now it is behaving differently or not. So my second request was failing previously, and now let's see, it is getting passed, right? So now my second request is getting passed. It means I have successfully implemented the regular expression extractor in JMeter to handle my dynamic values. Now in my detail, I am getting two requests of my detail, right? In one request is getting passed, and the second my detail request is getting failed. Now again I need to look for dynamic values, as this is saying validation of viewstat mac failed. It means there are some dynamic values which are in the response of this my detail page, which I need to pass in my detail. And this If I go to my detail here you can see all my data, but there are view state, there is previous page, event validation, and view state generator. So I need to do the same thing again here as well. But what I can do, I can copy the post processors from the first request. I can copy all these three to my detail request, and let's see how it goes. And since I just need to copy it, so it should not take much time. So what I will do, I will click on control and select both of them at the same time. I will select copy, and in my first detail I will select this my detail request, and I just paste it. Now view state and event validations are there. So I will not copy view state generator at first because I am thinking that the issue will be fixed with these two. If not, then I will do view state generator as well. So now let's just change the variable name here. So we have 1, 2, and 3. So I will change the variable name to 4 here, and I will change the variable name to 5 here and save. Now what I need to do, I just need to replace the variables rather than values. So for view state, I will select, I will, I will try to delete and the value and replace it with the dollar curly brackets, and inside that I will write 4. Let's get save, and for event validation it's 5. So for event validation I will save it as 5. That's it. Press enter. It is saved. Now I just need to close this and clear the result, and I just need to play the test again and see whether it is working now or not. And remember, if we go to my detail, so all the rest of the values are my actual values, and when you see this kind of value CT00S user login, this is basically the ID of the login button. You can check in your application, in your respective applications, you will get some IDs in some of the buttons and all, because user is, why it is recording it as a parameter, because user is clicking that button in your test case. And these are the values which user has given. So as you can see, my test is passed successfully. All the requests are passed. So that's it. I've configured my test case successfully with all the dynamic values. So this is the core essence of this lecture. We have fixed all the issues. Now this test is ready for further processing and further configuration, and this little test is basically showing the summary. So if you can go to the sample result of this test request, which is extra request uh, present by JMeter. So as you can see, it is giving me response 200, and it is giving all the data, size in bytes, and response. So now this is key here. Response message is number of samples in transactions are 5 and number of failing samples are 0. And why it is counting at 5? Because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 requests in total in our test case. So that's it for today's lecture, guys. You can explore much. You can replicate these steps in your own applications and handle the dynamic values and perform your test, record it, and execute it successfully, then we will go in further detail and we will cover our next concept in our next class. So see you in next class.